Okay, so hi team. My name is Abhinya, and with me I have Gyan Ranjan. So we are a part of Neuron7.ai. So the title of our paper is Intelligent Question Answering from Product Manuals. So before we would like to start, I'd like to give a bit of context as to what Neuron7 as a company does and what we try to achieve using, multiple parts of the product and what the intelligent question answering focuses on. So Neuron7 is a service intelligence platform. So we cater to different domains such as high tech and medical devices manufacturing and also the technology domain. So what we try to target is service intelligence as a problem statement. We try to achieve, the unsupervised or a sort of a machine learning based approach in which we would like to aid our technical agents or the end technicians to make sense of non-structured data that is present from the user problems. So what I exactly mean by that is, for example, let's take the high-tech domain. So if there is a particular product or an appliance that the user has got in a B2B scenario, many cases there might be a recurrent with a new software patch, there might be a recurrent problem that all the users are facing. Then people try to raise this problem that my software does not work or the display does not work and so and so. These are the error that we try to face and etc. So in this case, our product tries to aid a technician in understanding this information better. And we also, say that, okay, so this is the problem that the person is facing and these are the tests that they have done or these are the resolutions that they have already taken and that has failed. So that is why they have, come to the service center now. So essentially from that we try to understand what is the problem about and solve and give more holistic resolutions that might solve the problem. So in this case there are multiple natural language tasks that we try to do, ranging from named entity recognitions or unsupervised topic modeling, and the most important part is where we try to make sense of manuals and service manuals, reference documents, etc. So since we try to see, what are the different information that the user has provided, at times the service agent would like to go back to the manual and try to understand where exactly is it talked about. For example, if someone says that my phone does not work, then we would like to go back to the service guide that is provided in the phone and try to see that if this is the symptom that I am facing, what is the problem that it represents and how do I solve it, right? So this is the whole concept of why we would like to tackle this problem of extracting information from unsupervised data, that is especially lying in terms of PDFs or documents or any sort of digital unsupervised data. So in many business use cases, what would happen is we don't always have the information in terms of text, because then it would be very simple indexing problem, right? We would like to just index the document and then search through it and then just see that, okay, here you go, this is the corresponding answer. But the practical challenge of this comes in the richness of the format of the data that we have. We have multiple tables that is present, images, flow charts, diagrams, and also sometimes people also might ask, for example, if there is a make of a particular design, people would like to understand, what does this part mean, and all the relevant information that is present in the manuals need to be answered. This is why the technical solution that we will be providing has to have multiple modules which will be handling them individually. So for example, we need a text processor, we need a text ingester, we need a text query engine, which would also use different databases and indexed tables that is available. And subsequently, we should be able to identify for the corresponding user query, this is the manual that the question is coming from, or a set of manuals which is talking about a particular question. And then we also we also tell the corresponding answer, in for example, in this particular document, in this page number, in this paragraph is right answer lies. So due to this granularity of the problem, we employ different models that are all stitched together as a pipeline. So for example, we use different detectron based object detection models for identifying custom objects. We also try to train our own custom NLP models in terms of word vectors, or we also use question generation approaches to first populate the data and then subsequently fine tune the squad BERT approaches. And we also use different custom synonyms that is extracted from the word embeddings, which go into the databases that we use. So in the paper also we have discussed all these individual models, and we have also provided performance of this whole pipeline, and also earlier approaches when they are used in their own simple modules, how do they work, and why is there a necessity for such a pipeline. So going into the pipeline that we are using for the manuals. So the pipeline is essentially consistent of three main parts. So the first part is, since we have a lot of data that is present in the manuals, a lot of PDFs, we want an indexer which first tries to parse all these unstructured data. And once we parse all this data, we try to pass it into the query engine, which understands the user query and also identifies different nuances, such as what are the entities present, what are the information that is needed, and formulates a query. And we also have a feedback based learner, which combines the user feedback that has been provided. For the initial version, we are using a very simple straightforward feedback. So once the whole pipeline is done, we get the user an option to give upward or downward an answer, and based on the feedback we try to enhance the future results. So to go into more details about each of these modules, the indexer, which is essentially why do we need an indexer, is like I had told, we want different modules which takes care of all these indexers. So for example, we want a detectron based approach which has a table detector, so it identifies that this is the table that is present. Similarly, we have fine tuned another object detection model which identifies what are the images and flowcharts that is present in the data, and we pass it into an OCR engine. And we also have another object detection model, another class in the same object detection model, which identifies what is the textual information present, as in what are the paragraphs and the segments of text block present, so that we can just pass the coordinates of that into any PDF parser. So these are the three models that we have used, which parses this information. And there are again different databases that we are using. For example, for the textual information, we are using index databases, and then we are using tables to store the tables and the image coordinates. So once we have the indexed documents in some sort of a database, we try to pass it through a query engine. So the query engine essentially tries to make sense of the question that the user has posed, and to pass them into different query blocks. Again, we have a few semantically trained models. So for example, we use the glove vectors to train our own word vectors, and based on this we try to find the synonyms for each of the the cluster of synonyms that is present in the data, and we use that in our index databases, so that instead of a plain lexical search, we try to do a semantic search as well. So that is the first stage, where we try to retrieve the relevant part of the document and also the corresponding text block that is present. So for example, if we try to say that page 10 of the document has got a table, then we pass it into our own into a table question answering approach. So we have used the Google table question answering model because we didn't have enough data to train. So in this case, for this model, we have used the pre-trained straight out of the box model available. And once we identify that this is the paragraph or the page from which the answer is present, and this does not have a table or an image, we try to pass it into a question answering model, which is fine-tuned on our own data. I'll shortly cover how the model is trained and what is the data that we had generated for it. So once we have this different blocks identified and corresponding short answers that is extracted. So why do we need a short answer is sometimes it might be painful for us to go through the entire document, which is why we suggest that this is the relevant segment of the page in which the answer lies. And that is why, that is the discriminator also often that our product offers, that instead of just throwing document, we also try to understand the entire document and say this part of the document is what makes the most sense. So these are the two main components. And the third component, which is sometime for now what we have had is we have had the plain vanilla version of it, where during initial days, once the model has been deployed, we get feedback from the user in terms of upvoting and downvoting. So the user tries to identify that there is this particular query in which this answer was very relevant. Alternatively, the user might also identify that from this user query, there was this particular document which was written, which was not making any sense. So we try to store both these feedback into our feedback table. And then we, when the next query comes in, we try to process it accordingly. So there are two ways in which we process it. So for the positive feedback, we try to use it directly into our model pool and the data that we have used to train our model. And once we have enough amount of data, we fine tune the model later and update the model parameters. And the second approach is where the user is downvoted, in which we try to fine tune our query parameters that we pass to the index database, where we try to say that you can exclude these results from the answer, because these particular blocks hadn't made any sense in the last try. So in the corresponding passes also, you should not be displaying that. So that's an overall explanation of what individual modules we have. So let me go into a bit of detail about the question answering model that we had trained. So in this part, the majority of the work has been in which, once you identify that this is the right section of the document, we pass it into a squad model. So squad again is Stanford's question answering data set. So we have multiple models that is available that has been fine tuned for squad using different BERT architectures, Roberta architecture. But in our data, as you can see here, so this is the excerpt that I've taken from Amazon Echo's service manual. This is an example of what sort of data we'll be dealing with. So this service document has a lot of domain specific knowledge and a lot of terminologies that might be very particular to a few domains which we are handling. So that is why it becomes important for us to fine tune our own models using the data that we have generated. But sadly, in real life scenarios, we don't have data available for many of our real life data, which is why we have to do some sort of data generation techniques. So in our paper, we have only focused on the question answering approach, where we try to generate the data for any domain. So for example, if you have a context, but context essentially is just the subtext or a chunk of the service manual. From this, we try to use some sort of business rules in which we try to extract what are the possible candidate answers. These can be something as named entities or noun chunks, or simple we can just say what was the phrases that is present. So these are the answers and the context that we can be using. And once we have the answer and context, we try to generate the question using some transformer based approaches, where sequence to sequence approaches, where we so that was again trained on common English data, where the input was context and the answer, and the model had been fine tuned to generate the questions, corresponding question. So we use that model to identify what can be the question that pertains to the given context and answer. So in this case, someone is saying that the color of the blue light ring indicates what Echo is doing, and if the light is blue, it is ready for your request. So when I am saying blue is the question, the answer. So the model identifies that in this context, the question that makes the most sense is, what does the light ring being blue mean? So once we generate the data in this sort of triples, where we have the context, answer, and the question, it becomes easier for us to fine tune our squad model. So as I had told, we used a BERT model where we were using the BERT for squad fine tuning architecture as the embeddings, where the question and the paragraph being concatenated and encoded together. and there's a softmax that is applied at the end that is used to predict the start and the end span of these questions. So based on this, we have our own fine-tuned question answering model for the data for the domain that we're trying to handle. So the whole approach, the performance of it is has been compared, you know, between this approach and the plain squad that we can be using on the whole manuals, and also a simple TF-IDF based approach, because whenever it is an indexing problem, or if it is about question answering or some sort of query from manuals, usually TF-IDF is how people try to solve the problem. So we have used the Rouge score and also the overlap measure. So what we try to use here in the Rouge metric is again the F1 score that has been implemented on the unigram of the expected answer and also the predicted answer. Similarly, in Rouge 2, we take the bigrams and then we see the overlap between the bigrams. And in overlap measure, that was something that we had, you know, inferred from the a Jaccard-like metric, where we try to take between the expected and the predicted answer. We try to see how many tokens match when compared with the original number of tokens that was expected. So as we can see here, the squad-based approach, even though the time for execution is also an important metric here for us, because we would like to, since, you know, as I had mentioned in the overview of what we do, we try to do this real time where the user should be, you know, there's a very small time frame for us to respond to the user. So squad-based approaches often tend to take a lot of time, especially for this data, due to the length and vastness of the data. So that is why it does not make any sense for us to use native squad-based approaches. But when we leverage that in our approach and combine the whole pipeline, we have a considerable time, and also the performance is also reached around 60% of overlap measure, which is again this again during the initial start where we don't have any sort of feedback, and this is from the plain manuals. So which is why when this made more sense for us in a business term as well. So in conclusion, we have this is the, like I had told, the pipeline that made the most sense for us to handle the whole manuals. So in future, what we would like to do is in this approach, we have not used any sort of knowledge context that has been induced, such as named entity recognizers or, you know, any other business rules that we have provided during the training. We would like to do that. And also we would like to focus more on individual models and modules, and focus more on how do we generate domain specific data, so that we can be training some of these models in a better way. And also the feedback pipeline, as a future work, we would like to incorporate even better changes to it, and see, rather than just taking the feedback and fine tuning the model, are there better approaches in which we can handle the feedback and improve individual components of this pipeline. So that was what we had. Any questions?